Welcome back again. Thomas-Alexandre Dumas was a French general during the Revolutionary Wars and one of the highest ranking military officers of African descent in European history. He was born on March 25th, 1762, in Saint-Domingue, which is in present day Haiti, then a French colony in the center of the Atlantic slave economy. His mother, Marie Dumas, was an enslaved African woman, and his father, Alexandre Antonio, was a French nobleman. As a child, Dumas was taken to France by his father, legally freed and recognized under French law, which did not permit slavery on metropolitan soil. Thomas received formal education in France and developed exceptional physical strength and fencing skill, which later became widely noted by contemporaries. Everyone in France wanted to beat him, and he was known as one of the best. In 1786, he enlisted in the French army as a private in the Queen's Dragoons under the name Thomas-Alexandre Dumas, deliberately distancing himself from his father's aristocratic title. His advancement was based on the documented battlefield performance rather than social status, as an unusual path before the Revolution. Following the outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789, military promotions accelerated from capable officers regardless of birth. Dumas rose rapidly through the ranks, becoming a lieutenant in 1792. In 1793, he was promoted to general of brigade and soon after to the general of the division, making him one of the youngest generals in French history. At this point, he was the highest ranking black officer to command white European troops in a Western army. Thomas was appointed commander of the Army of the Alps, where he led operations against Austrian and Piedmontese forces. He later served in the Italian campaign under General Bonaparte. Military records credit him with key actions in the capture of the Alpine passes, enforcement of discipline among the French troops, and protection of civilian populations from looting. Thomas was known for personally leading charges, enduring extreme conditions, and maintaining strict ethical standards, which sometimes put him at odds with other commanders. During the Egyptian campaign of 1798 to 1799, Thomas served as a senior cavalry commander. He increasingly clashed with Napoleon Bonaparte over strategy, authoritarian leadership, and the treatment of occupied populations. Thomas openly criticized the expedition as strategically unsound and morally compromised. These disputes damaged his standing with Bonaparte, who later became the first consul. In 1799, while returning to France, Thomas' ship was forced to dock in the Kingdom of Naples after a storm. He was arrested by local authorities and imprisoned at Taranto. He remained incarcerated for over 2 years in deteriorating conditions, suffering malnutrition, poisoning, and physical abuse. French diplomatic efforts to secure his release were limited and ineffective, despite his rank and service record. Thomas was released in 1801 following diplomatic negotiations, but returned to France severely ill and physically weakened. He sought reinstatement, back pay, and a pension for his imprisonment, but the government provided minimal compensations. Under Napoleon's regimen, which reintroduced slavery in the colonies in 1802 and enforced racial restrictions within the military, Thomas was denied further command and effectively sidelined. Thomas-Alexandre Dumas would die on February 26, 1806, in France, at the age of 43. At the time of his death, his family lived in financial difficulty, and his military achievements were largely excluded from official French history. He would be father to Alexandre Dumas Pierre, whose literature works drew inspiration from his father, particularly themes of unjust imprisonment and honor that was not served by the French military and French government. Modern historical scholarship recognizes him as a documented example of merit-based advancement, Black military authority, and resistance to authoritarian power in the 1700s in Europe. Please like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you get all my videos. Add me on all social medias, and until next time, peace, one love.
So catch me if I fall.